Hello and welcome to Nursery Rhymes in Modern Times, where we talk about nursery rhymes that are more traditional and more modern in a contemporary context. So today we are going to be talking about why exactly nursery rhymes are so important. They've existed in cultures around the world since the beginning of time. It's basically the beginning of oral history. So if you think about before humans could read or write, they told stories and they talked to each other with nursery rhymes. So when you look back at some of the more traditional nursery rhymes that you might know, a lot of those might have come about before people could read and write. So they weren't necessarily directed at children. So that's why some of them are a little bit questionable as far as content, which is something we will talk about in other episodes. But for today, we are talking about how nursery rhymes work in a positive light. So we use nursery rhymes for a lot of things, early literacy being pretty much the main one. So when you have a nursery rhyme, often you have some repetition, you have some words and vocabulary that your kiddos may or may not already know. And as you are practicing saying these out loud, sometimes they go with music. So all three of these elements together help to support all of the learning that's happening with your kiddos as they're super little and as their brains are growing. So if you think about something like Frère Jacques, and you have Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, sonnez les matines, ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, dong. So you have, this is French, obviously. If you don't speak French, it's basically, Brother John, are you sleeping? The morning bells are ringing, ding, ding, dong. So you have repetition that happens. So as kiddos are hearing all of these sounds, they are getting to know them and they get to hear them a second time. If you think about when you're talking with your kiddos, generally you're speaking quickly. So the fact that this not only has that repetition, but also slows things down because of the singing, then they get to hear the sounds that make up the words. So nursery rhymes are great for that purpose. They really plug into that language center of the brain and make your kiddos understand not only the words that are being said, but also how language works in general. So there might be some potential pitfalls that come with nursery rhymes as a whole, and that's part of what this series is going to look at as well. So there's positives to nursery rhymes, and there are also some pitfalls that come along the way. So with nursery rhymes, because many of them, especially the more traditional ones, were geared towards adults, they have some content that may or may not be appropriate to a childlike audience. And sometimes that's very clear in the song, and sometimes that is less clear and goes along kind of with the historical elements, which also we talk about later on in this series. So as we were thinking about maybe some of the questionable lyrics that are going into these songs, if you've got, for example, Mary, Mary, quite contrary, is about a queen, Mary, Queen of Scots, who was not very nice. And you have silver bells and cockle shells, which sounds like maybe they are flowers in a garden, but really they are torture devices that she used when she was not being very nice to people. So when you're singing a nursery rhyme like that, then you have some pieces that are less savory for a contemporary child audience. So there are lots of ways to look at nursery rhymes. There are definitely positive sides to them, and there are also some sides that we need to reflect on, which is part of what I'm exploring through the series and through the comments that you all are sharing with me. So one of the nice things about nursery rhymes is you can kind of pick and choose which ones you use in your daily life. In a modern setting, you might not use Mary, Mary, quite contrary so much. But it does also talk a little bit about history. So there are some reasons that it might be valuable to include, perhaps not with a 3-year-old, but maybe in a historical context in a history class in high school. So nursery rhymes have a lot of good things about them. They help with that early learning. They also help support a lot of the historical foundation that goes into a child's rearing. So take all of this with a grain of salt. I am totally open to all of your ideas and thoughts and feelings about this and maybe how you use them in your own life, whether you're a librarian or a parent or incorporate them some other way. Thank you so much for joining me for today's conversation about why nursery rhymes are so important. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, share. If you do want to comment directly to me, I've shared that information in the notes below as well. Make sure you subscribe so you'll get notified as more of these come up, and I'll see you next time.